Hello, in this video, I am going to go through my personal Phenax God of Deception opponent mill, but also as a backup plan self-mill commander deck. This is a 4/7 legendary enchantment creature god with indestructible. If our devotion to blue and black is less than 7, it's not a creature, and it gives all creatures we control tap. Target player puts the top X cards of their library into their graveyard, where X is this creature's toughness. That can target your opponents, or that can target us. Let's get into this video. I'm going to start with the creatures and then go into the instants and sorceries, artifacts and enchantments, lands, and the singular planeswalker that make up my mill deck. Now, if you want to go the self-mill route and tap all of our big toughness creatures to win the game, Laboratory Maniac is the way to do that. For 3 mana, it's a 2/2 creature human wizard. If you would draw a card while your library has no cards in it, you win the game instead. So if we self-mill ourselves down to 0, bam, we win. Now, if we're going to go the opponent route, and I have both, just so you can switch mid-game, I'm primarily focused on milling my opponents. I have Dreadhound. For a black and a black, when it enters the battlefield, mill 3. Whenever a creature dies or a creature card is put into a graveyard from a library, each opponent loses a life. So if you make one of your opponents mill 10 cards, and 6 of them are creatures, each of your opponents lose 6 life. If you make 3 of your opponents each mill, I don't know, let's say 10 cards. There's cards that can do that. 10 cards each. And 18 of those are creatures. Every single one of your opponents takes 18. That is going to kill them very, very quickly. Plus, it has 6 toughness for our commander. So this is a fantastic card in the deck. Next is Imperious Mindbreaker. 1 blue creature wizard with Soulbound. As long as it's paired with another creature, each of those creatures has, when this creature attacks, each opponent mills cards equal to its toughness. And attacking would cause the majority of creatures to tap, which means we can't use them with Phenax, but as a backup plan, they can attack. If we can untap them, we have plenty of untapping effects. Just each opponent milling cards is sometimes even better than this, just having one player mill that many cards. That's a great thing. Plus, it has 4 toughness. Consuming Aberration, 3 blue-black. Its power and toughness are each equal to the number of cards in opponents' graveyards. Whenever you cast a spell, each opponent reveals cards from the top of their library until they reveal a land card and put those into their graveyard. So this grows exponentially as you fill up your opponent's graveyards, and every single time you cast a spell, each of your opponents mill additional cards, meaning that there's just more things entering the graveyard, and this thing's only getting bigger, which is great. Ruin Crab, 1 blue, creature crab, landfall. When a land enters, each opponent mills 3 cards, and it has 3 toughness for our commander. Great card in this deck, especially because we're playing plenty of fetch lands. So those are 2 land triggers. Next is Spark Double. You can just copy whatever creature you want. You don't necessarily want to copy your commander like most decks playing Spark Double would want to, because our commander, it's not a stackable ability. Your creatures having 2 abilities that tap to mill is not great, but copying any of your other value creatures is phenomenal. So Spark Double is great in this deck. Night Howler. It's an enchantment creature with Bestow. So you can start it with as an aura, and then it becomes its own creature when the creature that it's enchanted to dies. That is the way you're going to want to play this card. It and the enchanted creature get +X, where X is the number of creature cards in all graveyards. So you can put this on a creature, make its toughness even bigger, and keep using it to mill. And as soon as that creature dies, it becomes a big creature, which is 1 higher because the creature was enchanted to dies. And then you can continue tapping that. Post Malone, nope, Crick. Son of Yawgmoth, legendary creature for Phyrexian horror minion with lifelink. It's a 2/2 for each black and a cost. You may pay 2 life rather than pay that mana. Whenever you cast a black spell, put a +1/+1 counter on it. I own this card, but really wanted to play with the Post Malone version, so I have that. But it's great. Playing green, you need to be able to ramp. You're not playing red, you don't have access to treasures. You need to be able to ramp, and this is pseudo ramp. Trading life to win the game sooner, especially in this kind of grindy combo deck, is great. Grail Philosopher, blue and a 2. When it enters and at the beginning of your upkeep, each horror you control gains all activated abilities of target artifacts an opponent controls until end of turn. You may spend blue mana as though as mana of any color to activate those abilities. Now, I did create this after Commander Legends 2 came out. This was originally, let's see if I can find it, the Captain deck. Let's see. Find it real quick. I know he's in here. This one, it was originally a Captain Nugthrod, or however you say his name deck. Don't really like it, so I switched it out to being mill. And this has high toughness, which is great with our commander. And then there's a slight horror sub-theme. I mean, this is a horror. Night Howler's a horror. This can be a horror. Consuming Aberration's a horror. Those are just the cards we've handled so far. So, you know, it's a good card. And copying the abilities, if it hits a mana rock or another powerful thing, especially a mana rock, then now you have creatures that can tap for mana. You're not playing green. You need access to mana. Mirko Vosk, Mind Dreaker, 5 mana, 2/4 legendary creature vampire with flying. When it deals combat damage to a player, that player reveals cards from the top of their library until they reveal 4 land cards and put those into their graveyard. Just hits. It has a higher toughness than power, which is great with Phenax, and it makes them hit 4 lands, which about a third of your opponent's deck is going to be a lands. So, you know, 1 out of every 3 cards mean this is probably going to deal combat damage and then mill like 12 cards, between 10 and 14 cards on average, probably. Pretty good. Hullbreaker Horror, 7 mana. It's another horror, 7/8, big toughness, flash, can't be countered. Whenever you cast a spell, choose up to 1. Return target spell you don't control to its owner's hand, or return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Just control the board. It's a big creature, big toughness, big butt, and then take advantage of the horror theme. Fagroth, Blood Sky Sire, Death Touch 2/3 with Boast. This is a combo deck. There is a combo. We made it far enough in the video where I can talk about a combo without people clicking off. Let's see. Freed from the Real is a good card to get. You can just pay 1 blue to tap or untap something, so you just keep playing blue. But Intruder Alarm is really where the combo is. Creatures do not untap during the controller's untap phases. Whenever any creature comes into play, untap all creatures. There is a combo with it, which whenever I find it, I will point it out. But that's just, you know, you're playing a combo deck. It's hard to mill out your opponents, so Bagroth is a great card here. Terrasian Mindbreaker, 7 mana, 6/4 with Unearth for 1 blue, blue, blue. Whenever it attacks, defending player mills half their library rounded up. So if you have any effects that like, oh, whenever they mill 1 or more cards, they mill double instead, it just kills them, which are in the deck. So can take advantage of that card. The Mind Skinner, blue, 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 10/1, legendary enchantment creature nightmare. It can't be blocked. If a source you control will deal damage to an opponent, prevent that damage, and each opponent mills that many cards. The key here is it's each opponent, and it is kind of unfortunate this card's a 10/1. It doesn't have a very big toughness, so it's not great with our commander. But this thing just attacks, and each player mills 10. You know, if you think about it, all of your opponents start the game with 3 100-card decks. Really, they start with 3 99-card decks. Each of them draw 7 cards, and they're going to start the turn by drawing 1. So each of your opponents, you essentially have 273 cards you have to mill away over the course of the game. So having them each remove 30 is 11% of all of the cards you have to mill over a game, and that's just this attacking 1 time. So it's always fun to think about those numbers when building a deck like this. So whenever it attacks, defending player mills 10 cards. That's 3% of all of the cards you have to get rid of. It's a 3/7, big toughness, pretty good with our commander. Zelix, Senti Flayer, 2 and a blue for a 2/3. Whenever a player mills 1 or more creature cards, you create a 1/1, and then 1 tap, target player mills 3 cards. So it's a horror. It works. We have multiple milling effects and just creating 1/1s that are great blockers. They're horrors. They're on theme. And it works. We can just tap them to mill a card every turn. Isn't really where you want to be, but it's a possibility. Dusk Mantle Guildmage, blue and a black for a 2/2 creature, human wizard, 1 blue black. Whenever a card is put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere this turn, that player loses 1 life. That's the mode you're most likely going to want to use. You're going to use that and then mill off as many cards as you can. Oh, now they're dead. You activate this and then attack with the Mindbreaker. You milled half your library rounded up. Oh, you milled 30 cards. You only had 27 life. Boom, you're dead. And then you can also just pay mana to have player mill 2. Irrelevant, but you really want that top ability. Jin-Gitaxias, Progress Tyrant, 5 blue blue. It's a 5/5 Phyrexian Praetor. Whenever you cast an artifact, instant, or sorcery spell, copy it. Whenever an opponent casts their first artifact, instant, or sorcery, counter it. You are playing, or at least the way I built my deck, I'm playing a lot of artifacts and enchantments and a lot of sorceries and instants. So copying those is great, and slowing our opponents down is probably even better. Charix, the Raging Isle, 4 mana, 0/17. This thing taps to mill 17 cards, which is great. So I like it there. I'm going to be honest, every time I see this card, I have to look it up. But it's 8 toughness. It does something with sorceries and instants in graveyards, and it has 8 toughness. Elder Brain, 7 mana, 6/6. It's a horror with menace. Whenever it attacks the player, exile all cards from that player's hand. Then they draw that many cards. You may play lands and cast spells from the hand that they got rid of, and you get to spend mana as a mana of any color. Pseudo card draw, but it's like It's a menacing creature. It deals damage. You get rid of their hand that they probably were creating over the course of a game. They have 4 cards in hand. You get rid of them all. They drew 2 lands and 2 other cards. You're going to be in a pretty good spot. Now you have access to just a lot of upside. I like it. Overcharged Amalgam, another horror, but it's a flash flying exploit. If it exploits when it enters, you can counter something. So it's a creature, it's a horror, and you can counter something if you need to. The Wrath, Zareth San, the Trickster, 3 blue-black legendary creature, Merfolk Rogue. It's a 4/4 with flash. 2, a blue and a black, return an unblocked attacking rogue you control to its owner's hand. Put it from your hand onto the battlefield, tapped and attacking. And whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you may put a permanent card from that player's graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. And that's really the part that I care about. It's whenever it deals combat damage, you get to take the best card that you've milled out of their graveyard and throw it into play. A lot of fun, get their best cards, take advantage of their deck. It's in their deck for a reason. It's probably playable. Guilt Feeder, 3 black, 0/4 horror, decent toughness. Whenever it attacks and is not blocked, defending player loses 1 life for each card in their graveyard. If you've already milled, 30, 35, if you're lucky, 40 cards, you attack the non-black, non-artifact creature controlling player, they're just going to die. Plague Splitter, 2 and a black. At the beginning of your upkeep, it deals 1 damage to each creature and each player. Whenever it dies, it deals 1 damage to each creature and each player. Just kill off the tokens. So far, I think there's been like 2 cards in our deck. One that makes 1/1s in the Mind Skinner. The chances of you having those 2 cards together is slim. They're going to kill something. And this just like keeping Llanowar Elves and human tokens at bay, soldier tokens at bay, squirrel tokens at bay is great. And then it's just a horror that's on theme. White of Precinct 6, black 1/1/1. It gets +1/+1 for each creature card in your opponent's graveyards. This just gets bigger and scales with the game and then continues to tap to our commander to mill a ton of cards. Undead Alchemist, 3 and a blue for a creature zombie. If a zombie you control will deal combat damage to a player, instead that player mills that many cards. So every single time any of our zombies, including the 6 that I just had, deals damage, that player mills cards instead. Whenever a creature card is put into an opponent's graveyard from their library, exile the card, make it 2/2. One of the things that you're going to see me talk about a lot when we get into the artifacts and some of the instants, your opponents have probably built their deck to take advantage of their graveyard or have some kind of recursive element, or just they're playing good cards that have some kind of recursive element. Think flashback, think reanimation spells, think putting things back into your hand in green, think casting sorceries from your graveyard in red and blue, think black taking advantage of the graveyard, white returning things that were just put into the graveyard. Exiling their graveyard is great. It removes the cards from the game permanently. If you're playing against an opponent and you're dealing them a ton of damage in like a mono red deck, and you're playing against a lifelink deck, like a life gain deck, you're going to be playing a losing battle. The same thing is if you're playing a mill deck and your opponent has graveyard elements, you're feeding the fire. And so it is great to be able to exile the graveyard, and that they can't re-get the cards from graveyard. There's like a couple cards that does it, but they're not playing them. You just permanently get all of them out of the way, and then they can't regain it like they could life. The Captain, 3 blue, black, 3/6 horror. All hierarchs you control have menace. They all have like good combat triggers, so giving them menace is like some kind of evasion. Whenever a horror you control does combat damage to a player, that player mills that many cards. And at the beginning of your end step, choose an artifact or creature in an opponent's graveyard that was put there from the library this turn. You can put it onto the battlefield under your control. Tons of things. It gives all the horrors menace. They have good combat abilities, like I already said. All their power becomes milled cards, and then you can also get something back, which is fun. Bruvak, the Grandiloquent. Probably should have talked about this sooner. It's 1 blue and a 2. If an opponent would mill 1 or more cards, they mill twice that many instead. All of the effects that we're going to get into, especially in the instants and sorcerers, are like, oh, they mill half their library. It's going to kill them. Bulgar Trawler. This card is phenomenal on this deck. It's a 3 mana. It's a tapped swamp, or you pay 3 life. So the floor is it's a bad tapped swamp. The ceiling is that you're playing against a graveyard deck. You've already milled 60 cards out of the library. Boom, snipe it. It's gone forever. And in the early game, you turn 1, just play it as a tap swamp. Late game, get rid of a graveyard. You don't have to worry about it getting reshuffled back in with any stupid green effects. Great card. Thassa, Deep Dwelling. 3 and a blue for an indestructible. At the beginning of your end step, exile to 1 target creature you control to return to the battlefield under its control. It's a 6/5. There are some cards with enter the battlefield abilities in our deck, such as the Trawler, but it also taps something. When it comes back, it's untapped. You could take advantage of that and have a blocker. It's also a 6/5. It's also indestructible. It's also a god. Lots of fun stuff, and you can just use mana to tap other creatures. Lazov Dimir Mastermind. Sorry, I yawned. Lazov Dimir Mastermind, blue, blue, black, black, 3/3, hexproof. Whenever a creature card is put into a opponent's grave from anywhere, you can have this become a copy of it, except for it keeps the ability and has hexproof. Dauthi Voidwalker, shadowing 3/2. If a card we put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere instead exile it with a void counter on it, then you can sacrifice it to get the best cards you exiled with it. But just being able to exile cards as they enter is great. And then it also has evasion. It's a 3/2. You have plenty of things that care about combat damage. It's a great card. And then Dimir, chosen from death. Its toughness equal to devotion to black. The toughness is increasing throughout the game, which is great with our commander. And then at instant speed, they're trying to reanimate something. Black 1, exile it, and then gain a life if it was any creatures. Stops them from being able to reanimate their stuff. And those are all of the creatures that are in this deck. Next up, I want to get into the instants and sorcery, since I think that's where the next most interesting cards are. And starting with Fractured Sanity. Blue, 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 sorcery. Each opponent mills 14 cards. And then cycling, when you cycle it, each opponent mills 4 cards. These kind of cards that say each opponent are fantastic because you have 3 opponents, 270 cards. This milling 14 cards is, 14 times 3 is, I think, 42. 42 is like, if you're playing against 270, 42 is like, 13, 14, 15% of all the cards you have to hit. It's pretty good, It's like dealing 16, 17 damage to your opponents and with just normal damage. I don't know, 5 damage each opponent for 3 mana. I don't know. I'm like explaining this card, but you can cycle it away. I don't really need to justify why it's in my deck. Traumatized, 3 blue, blue, sorcery. Target player puts half their library, round it down into their graveyard. I'm sorry that I yawned. Target player puts the top half of their library, round it down into their graveyard. With Brewvac, it's doubled. It's great. Drown in the Lock. Choose one. Counter target spell with mana value less than or equal to the number of cards in its controller's graveyard. Destroy target creature with mana value less than or equal to the number of cards in its controller's graveyard. You're milling a ton of cards. They're going to have a ton of cards in their graveyard. You can kill whatever you want and counter whatever you want. Diabolic Intent. We are a combo deck. You want to draw into your Brewvac. You want to draw into your Traumatize. You want to draw into those kind of cards. Sacrificing a creature is not really a punishment. Hypnotic Deluge, 6 blue, blue, blue. Exile instant and sorcery card from a graveyard. Copy it 3 times. So you can copy Traumatize 3 times. You can copy Fractured Sanity 3 times. You can copy your search spell 3 times. But you can also copy an instant and sorcery spell that's in one of your opponent's graveyards. If you're playing against like an extra turn deck, boom, you exile an extra turn spell, you get 3 extra turns. Phenomenal card. Solve the equation, go get an instant and sorcery card, you need to combo off. Demonic Tutor, you need to combo off. Eldritch Pact, target player draws X and loses X, where X is the number of cards in the graveyard. You have 30 cards in your graveyard, you draw 30 cards, you might run out of cards, but just dealing them 30 life is going to be great. Zat's Will, 4 and a black for an instant. Choose one. If you control your commanders, you cast this spell, you may choose both. Our commander has Indestructible. It's pretty hard to remove. It's probably going to be on the battlefield from the turn we play. Each opponent sacrifices a creature they control with their greatest power, or exile all cards from all opponents' graveyards, then create X 0/1s, where X is the greatest power among creature cards exiled this way. So you get to get rid of the biggest thing, and you make you exile a Gulta, and you make 12 0/1s. They're just decent blockers, and you can just tap to make target player mill 12 next turn. Not the worst. Decree of Pain, destroy all creatures. They can't be regenerated. Draw a card for each creature destroyed this way, and then you can also just cycle it away. We need to be able to destroy things, and drawing cards is great. We want to draw into more cards we can use to mill. Maddening Cacophony. Each opponent mills 8 cards. If this spell was kicked, instead each opponent mills half their library rounded up. Now this is one of those combo pieces. If you have Brewvac in play, you play each opponent mills half their library rounded up. It's the important part. If they rounded down, you might miss a card or two. But rounded up, you pay 6 mana, you just win the game. Reanimate, any creature in any graveyard onto the battlefield, and then cut your losses. Target player mills half their library rounded down. This is the one you have to worry about, because if they have like an odd number of cards, I think, let me think. If they have an odd number of cards, they would still have 1 or 2 cards left in their graveyard. So, but those are the kind of cards that are going to combo off and win for you. Next up, I'm going to get into the artifacts and enchantments. Intruder Alarm. Whenever a creature comes into play, untap all the creatures. That includes your opponents. So your opponents play a 3/3, untap everything. Great card. The water creature, water crystal. 4 mana, blue spells cost 1 less. We have plenty of blue spells. If an opponent would mill 1 or more cards, that player mills that many cards plus 4 instead. So you tap any of your 0/1 thralls. Now they mill 5 each time. 6, tap. Each opponent mills cards equal to the number of cards in your hand. There's a lot of things on this card. I haven't actually gotten a chance to play with this card yet, but it just feels like on every single of those 3 lines, there's something there for me. Blood Chief Ascension, 1 black for an enchantment. At the beginning of your end step, if an opponent lost 2 or more life this turn, you may put a quest counter on it. Whenever a card is put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, if it has 3 or more quest counters on it, you may have the player lose 2 life. If you do, you gain 2 life. They're just going to lose. If they're taking 2 damage on cards being milled, they're just going to lose quickly. Mystic Remora, we just need to draw cards, and that's really it. Dimir Signet, we're not playing green. We need to ramp as much as possible. Court of Cunning, 1 blue enchantment. When it enters, you become the monarch. At the beginning of your upkeep, any number of target players each mill 2 cards. If you're the monarch, each of those players mill 10 cards instead. So introduces the Monarch, which is always a fun ability, and then just repeatable milling is great. Whip of Erebos, getting lifelink is phenomenal. Your opponents are just going to be constantly attacking you. I can't really put into terms how much people hate being milled. They're going to attack you, and getting lifelink on your creatures and using them as blockers is just phenomenal. Then also, if you're milling yourself some, you can just reanimate a creature, but it's great. Freed from the Rio, you have this on your big X7. Let's put say you put on the crap. Sorry. So you pay blue, you mill 17. Pay blue, untap it, mill 17. Great card. So for boots, giving haste to your creatures that are trying to tap themselves is great. Talisman of Dominance, we need a ramp, we're not playing green. Leyline of the Void, if a card we put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, exile instead, and you can start the battlefield with it on the battlefield. Great card on this deck. Whenever a card is put to a graveyard, move it from the game. We just need to get cards out of the game so they can't get reshuffled. 3 mana for an enchantment. If an opponent casts a spell, they mill 2. Just punishes them a little bit and increases the amount of hurt that they're dealing with. Altar of Dementia. Sacrifice a creature. Target player mills cards equal to the sacrificed creature's power. You want to be doing this in a way that, how do I put this? This is like a finisher card. Oh, you only have so many cards, sacrifice all your things. Now, you do have cards in your deck that are like, every single time a creature is milled, make a 1/1. If you sacrifice a 1/1, they mill a card. If they happen to hit a creature, you can do it again. But with like the blue crystal, they mill that much plus 4. With your Bruvac, they double. So you sacrifice a 1/1, they mill 2 cards. If one of them's a creature, you can do it again. I don't know. Relic of Progenitus, you can exile cards in response to things like, I'm going to shuffle this back into my library. I'm going to put this into my hand. Tap, remove it from the game. And you can just pay 1, pop it, and exile all graveyards and draw a card. Mindcrake, if an opponent would lose life, that player puts that many cards from the top of their library into their graveyard. That is a good card with Blood Chief's Ascension. If they mill a card, they lose 2 life. Whenever they lose 2, they mill 2. A card entered your graveyard. A card entered your graveyard. You lost life. So, combo. Thought Vessel, using a ramp. Herald's Horn, you choose Horror. All of your horrors cost 1 less, and then at the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card of the library. If it's a horror, you can put it into your hand. Lightning Greaves, 0, give something haste, just immediately tap it to Phenax. Fellow Stone, one of your opponents, you're playing against 3 of them. One of them is probably playing blue or black, and then this can be an untapped mana rock. Soul Rain, Altar of the Brood, whenever another permanent enters battlefield under your control, each opponent puts the top card of the library into their graveyard. This is a great card with, let's see, where is the other mythic from that commander deck? The one that says whenever they mill a card, whenever they mill a creature card, whenever a player mills 1 or more creature cards, you create a 1/1. So each of your opponents mill 1 because another permanent, which is a token, entered, and as long as one of those 3 cards, which you have a 33% chance, is a creature, you put another one into play, and you can just keep repeating it. And then Maxwood Nexus, let's make everything into horrors. because that's what we're trying to do with this deck. And those are all of the artifacts and enchantments in my build. And now I'm going to get into the instance, not the instance. We get into all these lands. I'm going to skip through the ones that aren't. First, let me do the Planeswalker. Ashiok, they can't search your library, and then 1-, just exile all the graveyards. Great card. You can make play a mill for, but exiling all of the opponent's graveyards is phenomenal. Now into the lands. Jador, it's a town. It's target player mills half their library rounded down on a tapped island. If they did not, they printed, like, this is a phenomenal card in the deck. I can't really explain why it's so great. It's just insane. It is a really good sorcery on a bad land, and that's great. Taps for land, it's untapped. You can draw cards, lose life, doesn't matter. You seem to draw into your pieces. You're playing 2 colors, so you can afford to play tap lands, and this is a creature that can't be blocked. You have plenty of effects that are like, oh, when the creature does combat damage, they mill cards, and you can start your cycle off that way. You can sacrifice it to have target player mill 4. Not really where you want to be, but it's on theme and might close out the game. Fetch lands are good with our Ruin Crab effects. Let's see. Whenever this attacks, the target player mills 4 cards. You know, to tap lands on theme. It's fun. Drawing cards is always good. You're not playing green or, like, you know, so you don't have, like, big creatures you're drawing cards off of. You're milling tons of cards, you know, yourself, just because people are milling. Getting something back is good. A land exiles your opponent's graveyards is phenomenal. Scrying is good. Returning things is good. Okay. And then Morphic Pool. And those are all of the cards in my Phenax God of Deception deck. I hope you enjoyed this deck. If you like milling your opponents, please let me know your thoughts on this deck in the comments below. If this video is at all helpful to you and you did watch me for 26 minutes, please leave me a like. And I hope you have a good rest of your day, and may your top decks be ever in your favor. Thank you.